Hello guys, Crispy here and welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce RTX 3060 12GB GPU in Forza Horizon 5. This one is the Afox model of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs over here in Tech Power-Ups. GPU Z resizable bar is also enabled. Again, we got the 12GB variant of this card, which is very different from the 8GB model. And over on the left, we're pairing it with the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D and 32GB of RAM to avoid CPU bottlenecks. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's go over the settings now. I'm playing at 1080p first, and we're also going to test 1440p, 4K, and 8K resolutions. And we're using TAA, no MSAA or FXAA, because TAA actually looks the best in this game for some reason. It's not soft whatsoever, and I am not utilizing DLSS in this video because it doesn't really do much in terms of FPS improvements over native resolution, weirdly. And it already runs really well at native resolution, as you're about to see. Over on the graphics settings, we're using the Ultra Graphics preset, and I'm also going to test it on Extreme a little bit later. We got our beautiful BMW M3 right here, and we're getting 110 to 120 FPS on average. Now, I actually tested the RX 6600 XT previously before I installed the RTX 3060 here in the system, and that was a heck of a lot better. That video will come later, okay, because I want to test this one out first. This has a little bit more requests than the other GPU, but yeah, I'm actually super surprised to see that the 6600 XT is so much better than the 3060 12GB in Forza Horizon 5. Even though this is a little bit slower than the 6600 XT, it's still doing an amazing job. If you want to play Forza Horizon 5 with the RTX 3060, it's gonna be buttery smooth the entire time, no worries whatsoever, as you would expect coming from this game, because it's super well optimized. I truly love testing this title whenever I am not crashing into things, because it's so damn well optimized, guys. It's really great, okay? To go back, especially after testing 2023 titles, most of them, to go back to a well-optimized title that looks great, you know, it's great. It's a good feeling. It's just an amazing feeling. I love it. I'm tired of terribly optimized titles. Actually, the 9600 GT video, that's a GPU from 2008 that I tested last Sunday, it was just a breath of fresh air. I loved doing that. I'm probably gonna bring you guys an older system again next Sunday, okay? So stay tuned in for that. Anyways, it doesn't really drop too much, as you could see there. It looks amazing on ultra settings and 1080p resolution, and these are probably the settings that I would utilize myself at 1080p with the RTX 3060. So let's go ahead and try it out at 1440p next. Gonna resize the on-screen display first. I'm using MSI Afterburner and Riva Tuner for that, by the way, if you guys are wondering. And here we go, 2560 by 1440 TAA, using no DLSS once again, and the Ultra Settings preset. And the 3060 is still doing a heck of a great job at 1440p in Forza Horizon 5. Again, to be expected, this is a GPU that is quite capable at 1440p gaming. In well-optimized titles and older games from like 2020 and older, it will do a great job even at 1440p, as long as you don't max out the games completely. Alright, here we are getting 75 FPS looking at the city from here, and of course the tunnel area is the most intensive one. One interesting thing is that with the RX 6600 XT in tunnels, it didn't drop as much as the Nvidia cards do. I actually thought they had fixed the game, honestly, when I was filming that video, because it didn't really drop almost at all, so that's very impressive coming from the AMD GPUs here in Forza Horizon 5. It's definitely a game more optimized towards AMD cards. But that's not to say that the 3060 over here can't handle it. It is doing an amazing job. It is buttery smooth. It never drops from 60 at 1440p Ultra, so that's quite good. Of course, we still got Extreme, by the way, so this is not the highest preset in this game. But first, let's bump it up to 4K resolution. Still with TAA, still with the Ultra settings, and it is getting us... of course, the freaking speedometer is always broken when I set this game to ultra to 4K for some reason. I always gotta change it to the other one, and now it's fixed. It's not blinking anymore. Anyway, this at 4K is actually faster than the RX 6600 XT, guys. I will say that it's probably because of the bandwidth. This is a PCI Express 4.0 times 16 GPU. The 6600 XT is a PCI Express 4.0 times 8 GPU. So that could be making a bit of a difference right here at the 4K resolution, where it matters the most. Damn it, we lost our left mirror already, but everything is okay. It doesn't matter. The car still runs just fine, and I know I can disable the damage thingy on the car, you know, the car damage, but it's more fun if we let it rip. Okay. Getting out of the tunnel, 45. Didn't really move that much here at 4K resolution, honestly. I was expecting a bigger drop there. Alright, anyway, another thing that I noticed was driving through bushes like these with the 6600 XT gave us big frame time spikes, and here with the RTX 3060, it's not really fluctuating too much, you know. It's actually a little bit more stable at 4K res, which again, you would expect coming from a GPU with higher bandwidth. It's not 60 FPS. Yes, for that you need the high settings instead. I'm gonna set them and I'm gonna restart the game, test it out at the 3 resolutions quickly, because high is actually really easy to run in Forza, and then we're gonna move up to extreme. Up. Shut up, please. Shut. Can you shut up every single time? Every single.
Selector. Current value off. Value 1 of 2. Enable to force the game to match rendering to the monitor refresh rate. Disabling may result in a higher frame rate, but might also cause screen tearing artifacts. ESC back. Y reset to default. X items.
Right. Finally, he freaking shut up. That must have been the time where he talked the most. Okay. Alright, anyway, we're back here at high settings. It looks way worse, actually, than ultra in this weather. Like, the reflection of the sun on the car was actually pretty bad. Okay. The ambient occlusion is also way worse. The trees are looking a bit, how do you put it, vomity? Maybe? I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna teleport to the other part, okay? So we can start it in the city now. Here we go. Still looking very vibrant though, and overall it still looks good on high settings. And if you must have that 60 plus FPS experience, well, high settings is probably the way to go at 4K, but I would not really touch the settings if you're playing at 1440p or 1080p. From what we tested so far, of course, on Ultra. I would just leave them on Ultra, have a buttery smooth experience, and enjoy it. Also, at 4K high settings, the 6600 XT was also doing a little bit better of a job than the RTX 3060. That's very interesting. On Ultra, it probably requires more bandwidth, so the 3060 has the upper end, but on high, the 6600 XT got like 10 more FPS on average after this little run around the city. Gosh, what am I doing? So that's pretty interesting to see. There's a lot of shadow popping that I'm noticing right now as well. Don't like that too much. Yeah, the high settings are just not worth it. But what about 8K? Let's check this out quickly, okay? 7680 by 4320 is the resolution. VRAM seems to be enough for 8K on the RTX 3060 12 gig. It's only using slightly over 8 gigs, which is actually unexpected. I thought it was going to use a lot more VRAM than this, and it's getting very cinematic FPS. In fact, if you enable some motion blur, and I'm going to do that, it's probably going to look like Fast and Furious. Here we go. I know that the movies have long motion blur probably, because every time I go watch a movie at 24 FPS and there's a moving scene like showing a city, for example, really fast, you can't really see any details. It's very, very annoying to me after playing so many games at like high refresh rates and stuff. Anyways, that is looking fabulous, isn't it? No! I don't know why anyone would do this, but I mean, if you want to brag to your friends that your GPU actually has enough VRAM to run Forza Horizon 5 at 8K high, well, sure, go ahead and do that. Of course, it can definitely achieve like 30 plus all of the time if you play on like medium settings, probably like low settings actually. Medium doesn't really improve the FPS too much compared to high. Oh my god, that is so awful looking. That's headache inducing, guys. I am starting to feel dizzy. Let's disable the horrible motion blur that comes at this res, and I want to see it at 1080p high setting, because with the RX 6600 XT, I saw 100% usage all of the time, and I was expecting a little bit of fluctuation on the GPU usage department, and I thought it was probably, what is wrong with me? Probably because of the driver overheads that we have with the Nvidia GPUs, Ampere and Ada Lovelace, the recent ones. So, yeah, seeing 100% usage with a 3060 at 1080p high just tells me that no, that's not the case. I did see like a bit of fluctuation in GPU usage department around 130 frames per second with this CPU and the RTX 4090 back when I tested that, but it was because of the higher settings, not because of the Nvidia driver overhead. I guess extreme settings are a little bit more intensive than high in the CPU department, as well as obviously the GPU department. But if you remove the GPU bottleneck, you get more of a CPU bound scenario on Extreme. Speaking of, we should definitely try it out on Extreme next. I of course gotta restart the game. Let's do that. Alright, now this is interesting, guys. We're getting around 100 FPS. The 6600 XT was VRAM bound at extreme settings in 1080p, by the way. It was stuttering a lot in the frame time graph. It wasn't stable whatsoever, and it was getting drops into the 50s. This one is much more stable because of the 12 gigs of VRAM, and probably because of the VRAM management as well. Like, usually Nvidia GPUs use a couple of 100 megabytes or like 400 megabytes sometimes less VRAM at the same settings than the AMD counterparts. So I think that's what we're seeing here. Like, this GPU is not even hitting the 8 gigabyte mark. It probably will, because after a while VRAM usage goes up by a little bit while playing this game, and I've seen VRAM usage warnings even with like the RTX 3070 and 3060 Ti. But so far it's really good. I thought this would get around 70 FPS average, and it's getting way more than that. Right here it's dropping to around 70 frames. And again, it could also be because of slightly different weather as well, but I do think that the 12 gigabytes do make a big difference here in this game. And I just didn't really expect the 6600 XT to run out of VRAM, honestly, so hard at least. I thought it was going to be playable still, but it delivered a pretty bad experience at these same settings. Now, is it a big deal? Would I play on Extreme? I don't really know, because to me it looks almost the same as Ultra settings in this game, honestly. And in more intensive races and stuff like that, it might actually drop a little bit, at least to the 60 FPS mark, maybe from 60 as well. We're gonna see, like, in races, you usually get around the same FPS as the city area in my benchmark run. Maybe like a couple of less frames, but the experience is basically the same, you know? So let's find out right now how much it will drop to. 81, 82, it didn't even drop. What the heck? How? Why? Also, VRAM usage slightly going up. Okay, slowly going up. All right, let's go see it in the tunnel area. Getting out of it is more intensive, and 68. Huh. I thought it was gonna be much worse in this area. Alright, so we're good to test 1440p then. I didn't even test 1440p with the 6600 XT because, well, it was stuttery already at 1080p, but this one, well, 60 FPS. That's pretty decent, actually. All right, it's definitely gonna drop from 60 though, so I would totally just use the ultra settings since it looks very similar and it performs at 60 plus 100% of the time, no matter the weather, no matter the races. Yeah, it's just gonna be stable 100% of the time on ultra, not on extreme. If you don't have the FPS counter enabled, I doubt you would be able to tell much of a difference. Maybe if you're looking for it, you know, but yeah, it's actually pretty good. Damn it. We lost some speed there, but at least we're seeing a lot of cars on screen right now. And it didn't really drop over here, so it will drop more near vegetation on extreme settings, basically. All right. And should we try it at 4K as well? Why not, right? Maybe it will impress us a little bit. Let's see. Wow, okay. 40s? That's decent. 30s? If it is 30 plus, I think it's still a playable experience, guys. Okay. Wow, that is really nice. VRAM usage is going up over 8 gigabytes, by the way, right now. It might actually touch 9 in just a little. Well, if I kept playing the game for like 20 minutes or so, it would increase that VRAM usage. It just slowly increases over time, and this is amazing. This is looking crazy good. It's spin sharp. It doesn't drop even inside of bushes. At this point, if you want a 30 FPS experience, maybe this is it. Like, if you want to play this game at 4K resolution and you care about that visual fidelity, of course, that's probably why you're playing at 4K, right? I think setting it to extreme settings and locking it to 30 might be a good idea. And you know what? Just to finish it up, guys, oh boy. I'm gonna try to use some DLSS at 4K res, okay? Because at 4K, it doesn't really look all that bad, by the way. I just noticed the speedometer going crazy a little bit. Yeah, let's do a little bit of a comparison, but... Oh my god. What the hell? Okay, 38, 39 FPS right here, looking at this direction. And now I'm gonna enable DLSS on quality. Okay, save that. And we are getting 47. So about like 9 FPS more, maybe 8 FPS more. It's not too bad. And they did make an adjustment to the DLSS in this game, I think, because now it looks way better than it did back when it released. Or maybe it's because I am playing it at 4K at this moment. Well, this is also an option, I guess, if you want a little bit smoother of an experience. Enable DLSS, you get 10 more FPS. You're not really in the 30s as often anymore. If you don't want to lock your FPS to 30, well, this will feel a little bit better as well. Yeah, it's pretty solid, guys. Feel free to use DLSS at 4K. Maybe on ultra settings it will put you above 60, so that's a good idea, probably. Let me try like performance, which is what Nvidia recommends for 4K resolution. Not too bad. That's way more aliased right now, and the overall image is a lot softer, and it's still not enough to get 60 plus all of the time because it's dropping even in the city area, and it will drop even further here, as you can see. Doesn't look terrible though. It's a way better implementation than the previous one, that's for sure. Anyways, that's been it for this one. Thank you very much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Catch you in the next one very soon on a 6600 XT that I have talked about a lot in this video. So yeah, I hope to see you there. Love you all. Bye-bye.